Today we're talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Technically, what we're going to be talking about could be targeted towards the last 3 Assassin's Creed games, but Valhalla is easier because I'm currently playing it and it's the most recent title. Do I really want to make this video? Yeah, but I wish I didn't have to. It's just so mind-numbingly exhausting and frustrating to talk about this. Anywho, my name is just Jared, but you can just call me Jared, and today we're discussing the Microtransactions store in Valhalla and why it's one of the main features that's stopping these open-world RPG Assassin's Creed games from being a lot more fun. Minor spoilers ahead, I'll warn you before we hit them, so don't worry. Also, there's not going to be too much happening on screen in this video besides my dumb comedic editing from time to time, so if you want to just listen to it while you're doing something else, go ahead, you won't be missing too much. First off, if you aren't a fan of the current Assassin's Creed games, then this video isn't for you because you'll have a metric ton of other reasons why games like Valhalla aren't good. I know why some people don't enjoy the current games, and while I do understand it, I really don't need to hear any more of it. This video is for the people who actually actively enjoyed Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla. Now, IRL, I keep shaking my head the more I think about making this video, solely because of how mind-boggling all of it is. I get it. Ubisoft wants to make as much money as they can, and it must be working because they keep putting this store into their games, so you guys must be spending your money. If you don't know, the in-game store in Valhalla has everything you could ever want. You could buy the in-game currency, aka silver, crafting materials, XP boosters, silver boosters, secret locations, weapons, armor sets, mounts, ship customizations. It technically is pay to win, but since it's a single player game, everyone just accepts it, including myself, because what am I going to do to convince Ubisoft that this kind of practice is absolute garbage? The only thing I can do is not purchase anything, and I never have, and I'm sure many of you haven't either. The catch here is that every time you buy one of these Assassin's Creed games, you get 300 Helix credits, or whatever the fuck the currency is called, for free. As you might have guessed, 300 of this currency gets you almost nothing unless you want 400 silver or 400 crafting materials in Valhalla, which is literally almost equal to absolutely nothing. Although it's equal to absolutely nothing, I would recommend using those Helix credits for that because it will cost you $0 and Ubisoft gets 0 profit. Where things go wrong is when you start looking at the weapons you can get, like a green glowing skull hammer, which costs just 50 Helix credits more. Can you buy 50 cents worth of Helix credits? No, you can't. Ubisoft CEOs are greedy. You have to spend at least $5 to get 500 more. And then it's game over, really. Ubisoft has won, they've stolen your soul, and you've officially lost your real gamer status, and you're slowly morphing into those 9-year-old kids who steal mommy's credit card for the new Batman skin in Fortnite. Let's take the 1.7 million digital copies of Valhalla that were sold on launch week and round it to 2 million because in January this year, Valhalla was the second highest selling game and became the second highest selling Assassin's Creed game behind Assassin's Creed 3. I know the numbers are much higher, but since I don't have exact info, we'll just say 2 million for this example because as you'll see, that's well over enough. If half of the people that bought Valhalla saw those 300 credits and thought, you know what? Yeah, it's been like 2 years since I bought an AC game. I'll spend $5 to get a cool weapon. There's no harm in that. That would mean that Ubisoft just made 5 million buckaroos on a fucking silver knife that could have, I don't know, been tied to a cool quest in the game or found underground in a chest guarded by a powerful creature. Maybe something like that, you know, something that a video game would have. You can imagine how that number could escalate very quickly when people start to make extra purchases. This is why this store exists in each installment. Don't buy into this shit. What are you doing? Just stop. I mean, the only way Ubisoft will stop doing this is if it's not profitable. Just me making this video is literally going to do nothing even though I wish it could. Now hear me out. Just imagine if all the items in the microtransaction store were acquirable in-game via a quest or a secret. Technically, you can acquire most of the items in the store if you play every day and do the daily missions for opal or wander around the open world looking for the 400 opals scattered about, which are super hard to find without the opal map, which you guessed it, costs 350 Helix credits, forcing you to spend that $5 anyway. After the probably 100 plus hours it would take you to find all these opals, you'd be able to purchase like 5 of these items that are also on a daily rotation, so you might be waiting weeks to get something you actually want. Valhalla is developed in a way that makes this entire feature annoying and grindy, that way you want to pay money instead. It's a classic technique that tons of games do, but mostly multiplayer games, or free-to-play games, or games where the visual personalization of your character actually matters. I still don't understand why you would spend money on an armor set in a single-player game where nobody else sees what you look like but you. Games like Destiny or Warframe, other players see you and you see them. You want to look different from them. You want to stand out and not look generic or like everyone else. Customization in those games makes sense. It's the whole purpose of cosmetics. Buying an armor set in Valhalla is the equivalent to buying a new outfit for Drake in Uncharted. Sure, there's perks on the armor you buy, but it's nothing crazy. Usually it's just fire damage or poison damage stuff, or you get your health back on kills. It's not like you're summoning dragons or anything. All of those stats can be found on gear you find in the game or runes you can socket. Buying cosmetic items in single-player games will never make sense to me. But then again, people are doing it or they wouldn't exist in these games. I understand loot progression and wanting to have your character visually change over time via the gear you equip, but that does happen in Valhalla without you having to pay money. So actually paying money just doesn't click with me. These Assassin's Creed games would be miles better if the dope items you could buy in the store were tied to in-game quests or secrets. As much as I enjoyed Odyssey and am enjoying Valhalla, the loot in these games bores me to death. Early on, loot feels great, but the lack of uniqueness of progression of loot, it just sucks, man. I'm about 60 hours into Valhalla currently, and I've changed my gear like 3 times, because besides how different weapons have different attack combos, nothing feels worth it enough for me to really care, because everything just feels and looks, for the most part, the same. I scour each location for every secret before moving on to the next, and each and every time I'm let down by the loot I'm finding in comparison to the microtransaction store items. 60 hours in, I found an armor set that is silver and gold and looks alright. I'm digging it. But if we were to compare the earnable in-game gear to the microtransaction store gear, my silver gold armor would be a -7, and every item in the store would be a 10 out of 10, design-wise. Now, you could argue that this gear from the store that's in the background right now is too fantasy-like, where it wouldn't make sense for you to just happen upon it in-game. But, and here's where the minor spoilers come into play, it's just a location, so nothing crazy. You literally go to Asgard and other realms in this game. Sure, it's a vision or a dream or whatever, but it is a fully fledged open world location with secrets and quests and all of that, and what you get during this dream sequence, you keep when you wake up. You meet effing Thor, bro. Thor. He's got his hammer and everything. You can purchase a hammer that looks just like his in the store. Why isn't it earnable as part of the Asgardian quest line? What? There's Jotunheim and Niflheim armor sets in the store too. Like, is Asgard and the other realms just in this game to promote these crazy armor sets? Because without Asgard, they wouldn't make any sense? Like, what is happening? Who is buying this? I spent hours collecting 30 Tears of Ymir. You know, the Titan, Ymir, whose body created the world in Norse mythology? Yeah, 30 of his mythic rarity tears from chests in Asgard. 30 chests. And as a reward, I got a whopping 5 skill points. I already had 110 skill points at this point. 5 more meant nothing. It's like at first there was a cool reward, but then they took it out put it into the store, and just added a filler reward because they didn't want to remove all the secrets they had built solely to house the chests where those tiers are located. All this Asgard stuff, along with all the weird Norse mythology, super creepy quests in the game, they could have worked in plausible ways to earn the store-specific gear from quests or secrets in the actual game, and this would make the game so much more rewarding, therefore enjoyable. Exploring in Valhalla is great. It's just borderline rewarding and can use a lot more excitement. I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey had this same exact issue. You freaking fight Medusa in that game and get Jack from her as a reward. Like, that would have been the perfect time for some dope weapon with a cool effect or visual appearance, but no. You just get a sword. A sword that's gold, to go along with the other 80 gold swords you have in that game. This whole topic just irks me beyond belief. Long story short, the microtransaction store is destroying what the open world RPG Assassin's Creed games could be. Yes, there's other problems with them, but they are selling well, like really well. The only way we can combat the store is not purchasing anything from it. There's little else we can actually do unless a bunch of huge content creators and people who have a much larger reach start talking about this. If this is what the future of Assassin's Creed games are going to look like, we might just have to start calling them Assassin's Greed. In super recent news, like the day after I thought I finished the script, Ubisoft's fiscal year earnings call with investors completed, and we got news that Ubisoft is transitioning from their usual plan of releasing 3 to 4 games per year to a new style that focuses on bringing free-to-play to their big franchises. Which begs the question, would you play a free-to-play Assassin's Creed game? Hell no, that's my answer. As much as I like the recent games, they are super bloated with filler quests that are just not needed, take upwards to 100 hours to beat, and as we talked about, are filled to the brim with the greediest of microtransactions. An underdeveloped, free-to-play, live service, grind-filled Assassin's Creed game that develops over time does not sound like something I want to be a part of. The microtransactions in Valhalla are already microtransactions you'd see in a free-to-play game, and it's a fully priced $60 game. I'm scared to see what Ubisoft's idea of free-to-play microtransactions would actually look like. If Valhalla, as is, was free, it would still be a bloated game with boring loot, and I still wouldn't pay for gear in the store because it's single player. Like, that still doesn't make sense to me. What am I gonna do? Give Ubisoft $10 to make my character look cooler so I feel better about how my character looks for myself because I'm the only one who sees my character? I need to know the mindset of the people who make these purchases. That's all I have to say on this topic. The point was really just to rant. I actually do like these games. I've loved Assassin's Creed for forever. I just wish it could get to that top tier of what it could be. But the in-game store is going to weigh it down and burden the gameplay experience as long as it's there. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, but that's it for me. Feel free to like this video if you liked it or dislike it if you didn't. That's how YouTube works. I don't know why I'm explaining it to you. Subscribe for more loot news. If you like loot in games, this is the place to be, as it's all we talk about. Also, if you subscribe within the next 30 seconds, I've got a crazy deal for you. I'll give you 300 Just Jared credits for you to use at my store. That's right, 300 is just below the Just Jared appreciation package, which costs 350 credits. Give me $5 for 500 more credits, and my appreciation is all yours. That's a joke, but seriously, I appreciate you watching this video. Until next time, peace out.